You've seen it, you've heard right. From Software is releasing another Elden Ring game in the form of Nightreign, a 3-player co-op roguelike action adventure. Needless to say, I have thoughts. First, I want to clarify that I am actually quite interested in FromSoft branching out, both with directors and game style. Miyazaki is the creative powerhouse that has driven every major release for the last 15 years, and it's encouraging to see opportunities presented to up-and-coming directors. There are things New Blood might be open to that would never fit into Miyazaki's design ideals, and I can respect FromSoft's willingness to experiment in that regard. And much the same goes for game style. Souls games are a particularly homogenous genre that, while I and many like me love more than their own children, have their stagnation issues. The need to have every gameplay element buried deep within an immersive experience works wonders for imparting a specific atmosphere and tone to the player. At the same time, that need for immersion keeps the games from implementing something as conventional as a proper matchmaking lobby for their arenas, or stating level and weapon ranges for matchmaking generally. They also struggle with their balance of single-player and multiplayer elements. With single-player as the default assumption, it's difficult to design the same encounter for multiplayer. Sure, you can give a boss more health and damage, but without some way to deal with multiple points of aggression, your efforts are often in vain. Nightreign looks to be an approach aimed squarely at solving those issues. Multiplayer at the forefront of design, and, hopefully, an easily understood matchmaking system. What Nightreign does not appear to be, however, is the version of that solution I would have liked to see. I've been dying for a multiplayer-focused Souls game for well over a decade, and I'm in disbelief that when we're finally about to get one, it's removing two of the most interesting mechanics that have made the series what it is in my eyes. The game will feature preset hero characters that disallow any form of character creation. Skins were stated to be unlockable through gameplay, but it's a far cry from the options we're used to. And not only are the only options default heroes, but build making will only survive run to run. You level up generically during a match and use whatever equipment you find, not unlike many MOBAs or battle royales. Your only consistency between matches will be unlocked perks via traditional roguelike mechanics. This is bitter news. I love RPGs. I love character building. I don't mind set leveling paths or restricted playstyles like anything class-based, but taking away the ability to create and customize your character is something I'm never a fan of. It works better in some games more than others, but on my list of deal breakers for any game is whether or not I can make my own guy. It's trivial to many people, but for me it matters. Much like the other very notable exclusion of Nightreign. No PvP. This is probably the bigger issue at play for many people, myself included. I could tolerate not making a character if it was in the name of strong and consistent game balance. I wouldn't like it, but if it substantially improved the gameplay experience, I could hang. Without PvP, I'm left to hang. But not having PvP means the balance is far more one-sided and far less impactful when allowing customization. Now, I want to say that I am in no way surprised this game is omitting PvP entirely. I have long suspected many of the people at FromSoft do not participate in PvP, with Invasions being a long-standing brainchild of Miyazaki and potentially only a handful of devs actually tasked with its implementation and maintenance. PvP is complicated. Having PvP interwoven into your PvE is beyond complicated. Balance matters in PvE a lot, so adding an entire additional interaction to every possible option increases both development time and design scope. If this game is kicking out at a price comparable to Shadow of the Erdtree, along with making liberal use of the existing assets, it feels obvious those cuts have to come from somewhere. And, from what I've seen and heard, this game doesn't seem to have many design elements that would be accommodating for PvP. 30 to 45 minute matches where everything you're doing is a mad dash to the finish, prepping as much as possible to fight a final boss. As much as I'd like to PvP under those circumstances, I can see how it might just get in the way. But that brings me to my main takeaway on Nightreign so far. It is not the direction I wanted to see. Like I said before, I am excited for FromSoft to branch out with Souls games and for new voices to get their turn. The downside with those changes is that they may not be for everyone. Now, I'm not saying Nightreign is wrong or bad for being what it is. I haven't even played it yet, so I don't know shit. What I am saying is that I'm less than thrilled they're getting bold in the opposite direction I was hoping for. Elden Ring PvP is hard to love. It needed a lot more TLC and frankly a stronger foundation to really lock down a consistent vibe. To see a dedicated multiplayer game that could be literally anything they wanted completely remove PvP is soul-crushing. It confirms that at least an entire team's worth of FromSoft devs do not want PvP in their games, or at the very least are willing to exclude it. I understand better than most that the majority of players neither like nor understand Souls PvP. I'm also firmly in the camp that's indicative of the PvP needing more attention, not none. Some of the most popular games in the world are predominantly PvP games, so saying there's no audience is nonsense. In fact, when Nightreign was announced, a lot of people thought it was a battle royale. And a Souls battle royale would be something I'd be very interested in. But Nightreign isn't that game. It's a game built entirely on the desires of the director, Junya Ishizaki, which is how a game should be made. A consistent leading voice from a creative figurehead, where the team interprets and evolves their ideas. From their interviews, I understand they like co-op experiences and wanted to capitalize on that and that alone. And that's okay. I can't say Nightreign excites me in the same way mainline Souls games have, but I still want to play it. I've seen people criticize the reuse of assets, but I gotta say, doing this sort of game any other way doesn't make any sense to me. FromSoft has such a strong backlog of bosses and weapons that I'd love to see mixed into a new game, which seems to be largely what we're getting. If I can get the Crypt Black Sword from Dark Souls 2, that will be my sole objective in every session. And I especially hope this game was easy to make. Getting yearly releases from my favorite studio is good news when it means that I get more things to do between major releases. This feels like a B-team effort through and through, and the smaller scope would indicate that it won't have any negative impact on the next major release. But there are still a ton of easy wins for a game like this to take that FromSoft is leaving on the table. No crossplay is such a weird miss that has been a thorn in the side of every Souls game. These games thrive on multiplayer activity, and splitting the player base hurts everyone. It's a decision that makes sense if we again assume that the priority was for the title to be a low-cost, streamlined effort focused on quick turnaround, but it still hurts. Also, not being able to play as a duo is so categorically FromSoft that it's laughable. The game mode supports 1 or 3 players, not 2. Why? I couldn't tell you. Maybe they didn't care enough, maybe it wasn't worth design consideration, who knows. Another foreseeable issue is longevity. With relatively short sessions and minimal progression, it's hard to imagine this game staying active without long-term developer support. Additional content could do wonders for this game model, but I suspect that's not the developer's intention. Overall, while Nightreign may not be aimed at me personally, it has a ton of potential. This game could be incredibly fun in ways I've never experienced in a Souls game, and I'm open to a new experience. FromSoft has earned my respect time and again, even when we differ, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Souls combat is what I want from practically every game, so much so that any game with similar but not quite the same combat just doesn't do it for me. And I'm hopeful that this sets a strong precedent for FromSoft to make similar titles in the future. I am dying for a PvP-focused Souls game. Battle Royale, looter extraction, I'm down for whatever. Give me 8v8 big team battle from Halo 3 with Souls combat and customization. If FromSoft can see the value in their systems applied in new directions, one of them should absolutely be PvP. And hey, if they want to include a PvP mode in Nightreign, that'd be fantastic. Experimentation is the name of the game here, and God knows FromSoft could stand to work on their PvP. I can think of no better opportunity than a spin-off with a team that understands the mechanics. Let me know your thoughts on Nightreign and future iterations of these spin-off type games in the comments. Like the video if you liked it and subscribe for more. Until next time, thank you for watching.